I'm the author of a book called Who's 50, the 50 Doctor Who Stories Watch Before You Die, and it's my pleasure today to speak with none other than the mighty Sylvester McCoy.
You're late, sit, you're late.
You're all late, sit. So Sylvester, I wanted to ask you a question that's not even about Doctor Who or the Hobbit for that matter, but I know you've answered a lot, but I find this the most fascinating detail of your CV. You were a bouncer for a Rolling Stones concert? Forgive me, you're not really what I would call the bouncer type.
Well, no, I'm getting more bouncy now, the older I get. No, I was a skinny little runt, and I was a bouncer for the Rolling Stones. I stood on this side of the stage, Mick Jagger and all the rest were there dancing, and they had on the other side, and it was a Canadian young, and he was skinny as well and small. The two of us were there to keep people from coming up from the theatre onto the stage. No one did. It was the days of innocence, and it was the last concert the Stones did in England before they came to is it Altamont?
Altamont.
Yeah, Altamont. And I didn't realise the bouncers there, they killed a few people. I didn't know that was part of the trade, job description. Are you having a nice time? We're watching you. Don't feel embarrassed. Nice of you to call. Give my love to somebody. Anyway, so I was a bouncer for the Rolling Stones. Very proud of that.
I want to ask you a question. One of the things about how you played the Doctor, I've talked to a couple of the writers who worked on your shows, and they said that you really wanted the climax of your stories to be about the Doctor defeating the monsters with wits and not with guns. And so that's why you have all these great confrontations with your monsters where you do it verbally. Why did you want that?
Well, you see, I said earlier, for those that were in, that I hadn't really seen Doctor Who for years. I had my memory of Doctor Who was very strong on the second Doctor, Patrick Troughton, who was my first Doctor. And my memory, most likely it was wrong, but I had this feeling that he was a kind of comedic Doctor, and that's why I started off that way. I also thought that I did then see some videos of the others. They showed me quickly, and I saw them doing violent things, and I was amazed at that. I mean, I really was. I didn't think the Doctor would be, because he's a very bright, intelligent alien from Gallifrey, and therefore he would use his intelligence rather than violence. I mean, violence, my Doctor believed, was, as I believe, not a strength, but a weakness. Human weakness, and the Doctor would try and solve the problems by the brain rather than by the brawn. I mean, he was a superhero who didn't wear his underpants on the outside of his trousers, you see. Sometimes he wore them on his head, but that's another thing.
You alluded to this earlier, but one of the things that sort of influenced how you developed the role of the Doctor was your own grandmother, and you were reflecting on her. She was 100 or something like that.
Yeah, she got to 100, and that was in the 80s, and there weren't many 100-year-olds around then. Now they're just 10 a penny, they're all over the place. Anyway, so she got to 100, and that's quite unusual. And she was bright, and compass and all that. But there was a kind of sadness about when you chatted to her, that she lived so long. And I kind of started thinking, well, the Doctor's 950 years old. And she'd lost some children in her life, and, she'd lost, friends. And there was, so I wanted to bring that into my Doctor. I thought, yeah, I'll use that. So that's what I've been trying to do anyway.
Now, you've gone from making Doctor Who in very, very tiny quarters in BBC Television Centre to making The Hobbit, and where it seems to be populating half of New Zealand. What is it like to sort of do The Hobbit and now and sort of think about your Doctor Who period? That's quite a big change in how film is made.
Well, yes, I suppose it is in a way. I mean, it is big. All the sets were big. My dressing room was big. I mean, they used to give me a toilet when I was at the BBC, changing that. They weren't very good to us there, and that was that way. Yeah, no.
But at the end of the day, it's still acting.
It is. It's not any different, really. The camera's there, there's a camera, bang, that's it. There was cameras at the BBC as well, really. So it's just your relationship with the camera, acting. Whereas theatre work is different. When I did King Lear with Ian McKellen, you might have heard of him, he's a big fella.
Yeah.
Anyway, we did King Lear, we toured the world with it. We played to opera houses, 2,500 people and things like that. That was interesting, because as an actor you had no microphone, so you had to really be powerful, really be big to get to all those 2,500, especially the ones at the back. So that was quite an adventure.
I wouldn't be remiss without asking a question about working with Sophie Aldred as Ace, because you worked with her for most of your time as the Doctor. I mean, you and Sophie had a really great chemistry. I mean, was it evident from the first time you met her that you were going to get along with her like you did?
Yeah. No, it was actually from the very first time when she arrived on the set and she started laughing at all my jokes. I thought she could stay. No, we got on really well. We still do. We're in touch. Yeah. In fact, she bought me this hat. This is my birthday present from her. Yeah, one of them anyway, which is nice. Yeah. So that's good. We're great mates still.
So do you remember? Sorry.
Well, I can borrow my teeth if you wish. They're working for me.
Do you remember? Do you remember getting the call from John Nathan Turner and sort of getting asked, would you be willing to play? And was it completely out of the blue, or is it something that you were that you were trying to get before? Or?
Yeah, so when it was a long journey, bizarrely, it was a long journey getting the Hobbit as well. But it was a long journey because for years people used to say to me, you'd make a really good Doctor Who, and then I started to believe them. How foolish I was. And I thought, oh, maybe. And then I heard that Tom Baker was leaving. And so I've got my agent to phone up the BBC. They said, oh, sorry, we've already cast it. And, that was Peter Davidson. So that was it, that was fine. And then years later I heard on the radio, on the news, that Colin Baker was leaving. So again I got my agent onto it. And he phoned John Nathan Turner, and John Nathan Turner said, Sylvester who? And my agent said yes. And that was it, really. No, and then, they kind of just talked. And then John Nathan Turner hung up, and his phone rang again. And just as luck would have it, synchronicity, really. The other guy on the other end of the phone was a producer, a BBC producer I'd worked with a lot. And he said to John, I think you should see Sylvester McCoy. Now, he'd just been talking to my agent. So this made John interested. As also, as luck would have it, I was doing a musical play at the National Theatre.
Pied Piper.
Playing the Pied Piper, which had been written for me. It was a really good audition piece for Doctor Who, really, and the way it was written. And so John came along, saw me at the National, and went back to his office, said, I've found my new Doctor. But I still didn't have the part. I had to go through lots of hoops to get it. I had to do screen tests, yeah. Because the powers that be above John didn't believe that this comic kind of character, could actually take on Margaret Thatcher. And so we did a scene where I took on Margaret Thatcher. I should call something else. And I passed the test. But the test was fixed. Right. Because the screen test he did with 3 actors. 2 other actors who were great actors, but totally wrong for Doctor Who. So John knew what he was doing, so he did this, and it was obvious that I was the only one that was right for the part. And amongst those 3, there were most likely other brilliant actors out there who could have done Doctor Who equally or better than I. But anyway, that's how, I got the part, because John cheated.
Your Doctor, we were talking just a minute ago about how you sort of thought of how the Doctor should have the sadness, and we talked about how you wanted him to have more witty scenes. You seem to have, compared to other actors who played the part, you had a lot more contact with the writers, and you had a lot more input into scripts. Did you know how unusual that was at the time? Because
no, I didn't. I was completely ignorant about the whole thing, really. No, I didn't. All I knew was that this is what I wanted to do, and I hadn't really followed the other Doctors, so I didn't know what they did or hadn't done. It wasn't like, I'm going to change it because I think, they went that route. I was given the role, and I suddenly realised this is the most interesting television job in the world. It's one of the best acting roles on television, and you can do anything with it. You can go anywhere. You can do, the whole infinite variety of things you can do with the Doctor. And that's what I wanted to do. just use all my skills, find, you know, and also bring back the mystery. I wanted to bring back the mystery because I thought he should be mysterious, and I wanted to bring back the who, in, you know, who is he? What is he? And can we trust him? Maybe he's good, maybe he's bad, we don't know.
I think we're about to take some questions from the audience, so why don't we...
okay, why don't you put the lights up and...
yeah.
Have you all queued up nice and neatly?
They're all queued up nice and neatly.
Oh, that's very nice, because I think what I should do is... so you don't put hands up there. I can't see you. Where are you? You're out there. Are there people out there? Other lights? Are the house lights?
Oh, the house lights up?
Anyone got a switch?
Hello.
Hello, how are you? Hi, how you doing? Good.
Okay, so
What's your question?
I'm going to ask about actually The Hobbit because it's coming out next week.
Yep.
And I was wondering if there's anything that you can tell us that's we can be looking forward to seeing.
No.
Or just in general about your experience in The Hobbit or exciting things with Radagast that's going to be doing more crazy stuff.
I don't know what Radagast's actually going to be doing in Hobbit 2. Because I haven't seen it. I see it tomorrow in Germany. I'm going to Germany, Berlin tomorrow. I'm going to be trying to stay awake through it. Luckily my sons are going to be there and I'll say to them, please kick me when I'm on. Just in case I fall asleep, I don't want to miss that bit. Yeah, so I can't tell you anything about the second Hobbit. The first Hobbit I enjoyed immensely. But as you saw in that clip with that, you know, the hedgehog, when I was doing that scene, I thought, this is it. I'm all by myself in this huge film. It's just got to be me. And I've got this stuffed hedgehog. Wow, this is brilliant. Then I go on and watch the film. What do I find? I've been upstaged for the bloody thing. Those wizards at Weta. I mean that upstaging little blackguard. I should have killed it really, because I thought it was my scene. Now it's his scene. And when I was talking to Richard Taylor, who runs Weta, makes all the stuff, you know, all the models and all that kind of stuff. But he was making all these models and all that kind of stuff. He said, the most popular model. I thought, it was me. No, it's Sebastian. Everybody wants to get Sebastian. I hate him, I hate him, I hate him. 3 hates make 24. Anyway, so, yeah. And then the rabbits. Bloody rabbits upstaging me. You know, and then running away and leaving me. Oh. No. Anyway, thank you. You're dismissed. Thank you. Oh, so this is how you do it. You all queue up?
We all queue up in the row there.
Oh, it's not so much fun. I liked it going out into the audience and saying, you know. Anyway, what do you want to ask?
Well, you are trained originally as a clown. I don't know.
I never trained at anything.
Oh.
I did actually train to be the Pope.
There's been a waiting list for that.
Yeah, I was a bit disappointed because I said to my agent, you know, a couple of months ago, 6 months ago, I said, listen, there's a job going in the Vatican, keep the phone, you know, keep your eye on that phone. They might phone up any minute now, you know. Because technically any Roman Catholic male can become the Pope. You don't have to be a priest or anything like that, technically. Yes, you are if you're a Catholic.
Yeah.
But I'm a false one.
No, it happens. Well, I was wondering, with the clown training, how do you bring that into your characters, like the Doctor or Radagast or other things?
No training, no clown. No, I wasn't trained as a clown. I just worked. I mean, at the age of 27, someone mistook me for an actor and offered me a job. I had no idea that, you know, I had these skills. But I had them, and there they were, and they just popped out whenever required. Clowning seemed to be the thing I was doing, because that was the very first job I did. And then I got other jobs doing musicals, and opera, and, you know, kind of serious stuff. And it was just, I had somehow this baggage of stuff. But I tried. I mean, when I did Doctor Who, oh, there he is, there, that's me. Anyway, when I did Doctor Who, I arrived ignorant of the previous Who's, and I just came with my baggage, you know, comic stuff. And that's how he started off, more comedic. And it was then gradually, as I got to know him, you know, I developed into the darker side and the mysterious side. So that's really it, really. I hope that answers your question. Good. Otherwise, we didn't.
Hi. Aces are really like the best companion for you. Like, they work together really well. But if you had to choose a different companion from Ace to be your companion, who would you choose?
You. Oh no, I choose you. Hello.
I was wondering, because you're a classic Who doctor, what you thought of the new doctors and how they portrayed the new.
Yeah, well, I think they're great. I mean, when Christopher Eccleston came into it, I thought, wow. Yeah, no, it's cool, wasn't it, Christopher Eccleston? Yeah, you can follow me around if you want. I'm answering your question, but you can come.
Go ahead.
It's more fun. Because then we can chat to all of them, you see. And they can see you. This is my new companion. How do you Christopher Eccleston, I thought, was great. And you know, being a kind of a working class Mancunian accent, I thought that was really terrific. You know, he had that. And then, you know, David was terrific too. But he's a Scotsman, and it was, you know, it's kind of like, oh, another Scotsman. Although he decided not to do it in Scottish. And I remember getting a phone call from Glaswegian, the Glasgow paper, and they would say, hello there, Sylvester, have you heard? David's not doing it in Scottish. What do you think? And I thought, oh dear, what am I saying? No idea, really. And I then thought, well, I said, you know, David could do it in Scottish standing on his head, you know, because he's a Scot, it's easy. Whereas doing it in a kind of estuary English, that's what they call it. It's Tony Blair kind of English, posh English with bits dropping your H's. Anyway, doing it that way, it's more, you know, challenging for an actor. And then I also said, well, of course, you know, he also wanted to prove to the world that Scottish actors can do accents. Because you've got Sean Connery, you know, and he comes on, and Sean comes on and says, oh yes, I am a Russian. Then the next film he comes on and says, oh yes, I'm an Egyptian. And he's an Egyptian in The Highlander. Have you seen The Highlander? Yeah, the movie. Oh, you've got to see it, because, I mean, I come from the Highlands, but the Highlander's got a French accent. So I've been speaking with the wrong accent all these years. I should be speaking like, you know, Quebec or something, you know, kind of Montreal accent, you know. Anyway. So, yeah, I mean, he had to prove to the world, you know, that Scots can do accents, so that's how, you know. And then there is Matt. Now, yes, I only just met him this year for the first time. He is a delightful young man. I remember when I heard he got it, I said, oh no, they can't give it Doctor Who to a 12-year-old. You can't, it's not done. He's got to be an older man, that's the way it is. But no, they gave it to this 12-year-old, and he's brilliant. He's got a face that is so amazing, and you know, you could believe he's 950 years old and an alien as well, all in the same take. And when I met him, he's very much like an Afghan hound, a puppy. Just wagging his tail and, you know, kind of licking you and, you know. Anyway, so there we go. Is that all right? Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay, you can. Oh, you can go now. You go. Now, this string. Oh yes, I've got to come back here again.
Hello.
Hello.
What was it like playing Radagast opposite of Gandalf again with Ian McKellen?
Bad on the neck. Because he's so tall. Hello, Radagast says Gandalf, don't do that. Yeah, that was great. The thing is, I worked with Ian for many years. We did King Lear together. And it was a world tour, and it was a year and a half really. We toured the world doing King Lear, and I played the fool to his king, and it's like a double act in many ways. And I got to work with him and know him. And then we did a pilot for a television comedy, which didn't work, called The Academy, because it was all improvised. But it was good fun working with him on that. And then I got Radagast the Brown. The thing about getting Radagast the Brown was that I was actually up for Bilbo Baggins, originally in The Lord of the Rings. Yeah, I was, and I got down to the last two. It was myself and Ian Holm. sadly he wasn't working that week and he took the job. Anyway, I nearly got Bilbo Baggins. And so they knew me, you know, Peter Jackson and Fran and all those people, they all knew me. I knew that I was, well, they must have liked me really, they kept me in mind. So eventually I got Radagast the Brown. You can follow me around if you want. Yeah, all of you sitting down there, come on, follow me around, let's get to start. You can ask me your next question, but let's get down and dirty with the audience. Yeah, so that's how I eventually got Radagast the Brown. Of course, we toured with King Lear to New Zealand, and then, you know, I met Peter and Fran and all the people, and so they, you know, they said, do you want to play Radagast? We'll write you a bigger part than Bilbo Baggins was in Lord of the Rings. And I said, yes. You want to ask a question?
Did you ever meet the Emperor of the Daleks?
I sure did. I gave him rice pudding. I gave him trouble. I gave him hell. I met him and I destroyed Scarrow, his home planet. I didn't actually destroy it personally. I mean, he did, because he was sending a beam of evil towards us, and I just made it turn around and it hit his planet. Okay? Good.
So you mentioned before your fondness for working with Ian McKellen. I have a question for you before I do my actual question.
That's new.
I've actually been working on an Ian McKellen impression, and I was wondering if I could ask you the question in my voice.
Indeed you can.
Well, you know, Mr. McCoy, I'd just like to ask you one question, please. Yes. What kind of preparation do you put into all of your roles and jobs that you do as a professional actor or thespian, as we are?
Brilliant. Big hand for the guy. Thank you, Ian. Thank you, Ian. Gosh, it was just like being back there with him. Well, preparation. I'm an instinctive. It's all instinct. I don't do any kind of theory. I don't become a tree. You know, whatever it is you do, method. I just learn the lines and try to bump into the monsters in Doctor Who, and you know, that kind of stuff. It's instinct, pure instinct. And I remember someone saying that Ian McKellen is in a way similar. What Ian does is he stands on the edge. You feel as if he's on the edge of the stage and he's going to, you know, he dives off here, or he stands at the side of the stage, comes onto the stage, and he's no idea quite how it's going to go, what's going to happen. And I'm the same, really. You know the lines, you know the moves, you know the various different things, but there's also another element when you've no idea what it is. And bang, it happens. And hopefully, when it doesn't happen, then I suppose it's time to retire. And I go, yes, of course, I keep forgetting. Could you all go back to your own seats and then put your hand up? I like it that way much better. You're too organised, you Canadians.
Hello. So I was just wondering, you know, we're surrounded by everything that we love this weekend, Doctor Who, Lord of the Rings. What are you excited about in books and TV and movies these days? What are you watching and reading?
Well, John le Carré's latest novel I read recently. I'm reading Ireland is now the place where they're producing very good detective stories. It used to be Scandinavia, but that's past. It's now gone to Ireland, bizarrely. I'm reading a book like that. I watched Breaking Bad. I thought it was amazing. Those that have seen it know what that means. Excuse me a minute. That reminds me, I got to Toronto, I must call out the mayor. Yeah, that kind of stuff. I did watch The Bridge. I don't know if you've heard of The Bridge. It's a Scandinavian, Danish detective story, which was brilliant. and I just finished, because I've been touring all year, I've hardly seen anything, but I got a very bad cold, and which in a way I was quite pleased about, because that meant I could just sit and watch, reams of stuff, like that. So I watched all of the bridge, which was stunning. Cool. You happy?
Yes.
Okay. Where's your seat?
I'm over there.
Okay, I'll escort you. Next. Good. Just make sure. Oh, that's some of these people are frightening. I just have to make sure.
How are you, sir?
Fine.
First off, I just want to say you were my first doctor. You were the one that I based every doctor that I've ever seen on, and you were fantastic.
Thank you.
And everyone's questions before mine have been a lot more impressive than mine. But I've always wanted to know, when the Sylvester McCoy Paul McGann movie came out in 1997.
Yeah, thank you. You put it the right way around.
I was so ecstatic to see that you were going to reprise the role of the Doctor and that you were going to get a regeneration even though you got shot. But it was nice to see actually people trying to save you this time instead of just watching you lie on the floor and, oh, he's going to die. Anyways, back to my question. Were you...
Great acting that was, wasn't it? What are you doing in my TARDIS?
Bigger on the inside.
That's true.
I'm trying not to fanboy out right now. So I'm just wondering, did it surprise you when you got the call to reprise the role of the Doctor in the movie? Did you even think that, when the series ended in 1989, were you surprised to get the call again? Did you think you'd ever? I think you understand.
Yeah. Was I surprised? I don't remember. I remember thinking when I did do the Doctor, because I am the only actor to have played two Doctors. I was Doctor Who number 7. I was Doctor Who number 6 and Doctor Who number 7. Yeah, because I played Colin Baker, didn't turn up for the regeneration from his into mine, and Colin still claims that in fact he's actually still the Doctor, and that I started a whole new line, and that he's number 6. And that's why it'll carry on for a few more years, because he'll eventually do a handover to some other person. Anyway, so Colin didn't turn up, and so I had to dress in Colin's costume. They lost me for 3 days, and when they put me inside it, and then they put a wig on me, and I was Colin Baker on the floor, there, and that was me, and I turned over, and then I turned into me. From he, who was Colin Baker. So I thought, I must, whatever happens, do a regeneration. That was what I thought. It's not, I don't care what's happened, because Colin, rightly so, had a bad time, with the BBC, and so, it was understandable he didn't want them to have anything to do with them. But I thought, no, I must do, no matter what. And so I was kind of pleased to do it in Canada, in Vancouver. It was much more luxurious than the toilet I used to change in. They gave me this huge Pantechnicon, and in it had a kitchen, it had lounge, it had showers, it had lighting for every mood of the day. It was so luxurious. It was huge. And then when what's his name that played the master, Richard, Eric. Yeah, when Eric arrived, he arrived and went, I'd been there for a week or so, and he arrived, he looked at his big dressing room and said he didn't like the carpet, so they changed the carpet. And I thought, I didn't know you were supposed to do that. I used to ask them to change the toilet roll at the BBC, but change the carpet? I thought, wow, I wish I'd known, I'd had mine changed. And so that was fun to do that, and I felt it was my duty to hand over to that ugly little fellow from Liverpool. What's his name? Paul McGann. Do you know, they've got photographs of me and Paul McGann together, and he's taller than me, because they've put him on a box. He's a wee dwarf, just like me. You can sit now, but you should disappear, don't you? You go. There we are. Next question.
You have one more.
I'm over here and you're over there. You're younger than me. And it's nicer to watch you run than me, actually.
My husband's sitting right there.
You're a husband, aye. That's fine. But he's dressed up as another doctor. The wrong one. You married the wrong doctor. Anyway, we're all the same. I'm your husband as well if he's a doctor. You know, I mean, Peter Davidson's daughter's married to David Tennant, and it's very confusing. Because they're the same. Anyway, what's your question?
So amusingly, I was actually going to ask you about the fact that Colin Baker has been going to these gatherings and calling you an imposter. But you seem to have just answered that question.
Yes.
So instead I shall ask you, which would you rather travel by? TARDIS or Radagast bunny sled?
Actually the bunny sledge, because it's much more fun. I mean, you just go to the TARDIS and it goes, and then that's it, you're somewhere. Whereas the bunny, you have to hang on like grim death. I mean, when I was filming it, they had 12 men pulling ropes with me on the back. And I actually flew off. I mean, I actually did fly off it once. I was doing they asked me to do some double takes, and I was holding on like mad, and they were doing the double take like that, you know. And then they said, more, and then at one point, my hand flew out, and it was, the sledge was on a big rubber ring thing, so that they could bounce it about. And I just flew off from that onto a concrete floor. Hurt my bum, and my head was just about to hit it when one of the guys in the studio, who's a rugby player, dived and grabbed my head just before it hit, saved me from being knocked out. That's good. Okay, now go back to your husband. Any more questions?
I think
you can put your hands up if you want. Yes, I'll come to you. I'll come to you. How are you?
I'm trying to lose a couple pounds. Can we just do a quick walk?
Yeah, walk with me. Walk with me.
Dracula?
I did. Yes, a long yeah. No, why? All right, hi, how you doing? It's very nice to meet you. I like your...
No, go ahead. Okay. Were you contacted for or involved in the 50th anniversary at all?
What a cruel question. No, we didn't. You haven't seen the Five-ish Doctors? What kind of parent have you got? Have they not shown you the Five Doctors? Yes, it's a disgrace. Watch the Five-ish Doctors and that your question will be answered. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Sir Lawrence Olivier, are there any other actors that you admire that you've worked with?
Yeah, loads really. Can't remember any of the names, I'm so old. But I worked with lots of actors, some of the really good actors. Oh God, I can't remember. That's a question. Loads of actors. I don't want to say it in case I insult somebody. But yeah, I worked with Olivier, I worked with Ian McKellen, is that his name? Yes, and various other people like that, yeah. Who else would I work with that I loved? Sophie Alden, it was great working with her. I can't remember anyone's name. I think I was dropped on my head as a child and bashed the bit where you keep names. I can't remember my own name half the time. I almost forgot my wife's name. This is it. What's your name? We've been married for 15 years. Anyway, I liked your son's question better than
We have time for one more question.
One more question. Ooh, sorry, I was up the back. Yes, because you're so far away.
Hi, did you miss everything from Doctor Who?
Miss anything from it? Everything.
Like your companions, should scene with Daleks and monsters.
Miss it? Not really, no, because I'm still doing it. Because there's a company called Big Finish who make audio. Oh yeah, the Big Finish. And they make audio, stories of Doctor Who. And I'm still being Doctor Who, which is great. I mean, Sophie now she's getting on a bit. I won't tell you how old. She's still stunningly beautiful and young looking. But she's playing, that 16-year-old, I think, still, which is one of the great things about radio.
Yes.
There he is again, he's back. He went to the loo. Gosh, he took a long time. Anyway, I think you want me to get up these stairs.
Yes.
Because you want... Here I am. Hello.
Hello. So finally, Doctor Who's been around for 50 years. Why do you think it's been around for that long?
Well, I think it's because Doctor Who is kind of one of those stories we love to hear again and again and again. They say there's only 5 stories under the sun, and that man's genius is to retell them in different ways. Mankind's genius. Ladies are brilliant. I mean, mankind means that, doesn't it? Anyway, I always get sexist, so I don't want to be sexist. Anyway, so that's a story we all love. It's a story of someone coming from outside the planet, from way up there in the sky, down, taking on, our form, and trying to save us and help us. Lots of stories have been told like that throughout the ages, in the Far East, and even religions have been told the same story. So I think that's it. It's a kind of a story we love to hear. And also it's because you keep changing the doctors every now and again, you don't get bored with the same face.
Well, we'd never be bored with you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sylvester.